Welcome to the Schedule E Driver Credentials Report Training. This form is the old Schedule E. It was challenging to keep updated. You had to monitor so many dates. We had 11 columns. In this example, we have 245 drivers. In this case, it gives a total of 2,695 dates that the local education agency, or LEA, need to keep track of. As you can imagine, with this form being difficult for districts to follow, it was also difficult for the state to review as well. In 2018, the form was updated to provide a much easier way to track expiration dates. The new form is also how the Utah State Board of Education will be reviewing your report. Let's start by copying the driver information from the old form. Drag and select the cells you want to copy. Right-click on your selection and select Copy. Next, open the new Schedule E. Select the first cell for driver information. Right-click, and we want to copy as values. This should populate the new form. The form itself, the columns did not change, so if you're using any software or database, you should still be able to import the data into the new form, as none of that layout has changed. If you run into problems, let me know and I'd be happy to help you transition into this new form. As you can see, this form now has color formatting to help identify expiration and renewal dates. It also has two buttons which pressed can rearrange your drivers alphabetically by name or sort them by expiration. Once this form is sorted, all the identifiers are at the top of the form. This sheet sorts by Cdl Expiration first. This driver's license needs to be reviewed at least every 5 years. Next, the DOT physical examination. The expiration date of this, the medical cards, are valid at a maximum of 2 years, though doctors may require an exam as often as needed. The next column is our physical assessment. Trying to make sure that drivers have had a physical assessment at least every 2 years. We then are looking at birthdays. We're trying to make sure that all drivers are 21 years old. In this case, we have a technician that will soon be 21. Next, we're looking to see that the driver has a current motor vehicle report. And then we're looking to make sure that they have a current in-service. Once it's reviewed all the expired dates, it then goes through those same fields and looks for dates with a 90-day warning. There are a couple of updates we need to mention. The motor vehicle reports currently need to be pulled 2 times per year or have the driver records monitored for changes through the Department of Public Safety. If you're monitoring driver records, you should have an account with the Department of Public Safety. This is their website. Once you log in, you may access driver history records, and you get options to pull a driving record or find any driver history changes. These changes are reported at the beginning of every month. This is a new option. Let me know if you need information on setting up monitoring. If you are monitoring motor vehicle records, your dates are going to expire. By changing the date to the program, it no longer will flag the cell. Copy it through your list to the drivers you are monitoring. Next, the background check. Districts are transferring over to the RAPBAC background check monitoring system. By changing the date to the program, it will no longer flag the cell. Do this to all the drivers now enrolled in the program. Let's quickly review the rest of the columns. The Cdl Expiration and the DOT Physical Expiration are the two recertifications that are primarily the driver's responsibility. They may still need reminders to help them stay in compliance. CDLs have a 5-year renewal, and DOT Physical Examination is renewed at least every 2 years by a certified DOT doctor. The drug test should always be filled out with the post-offer drug test date or the latest random post-accident or reasonable suspicion test date. The alcohol check date would be the latest random post-accident or reasonable suspicion test date. The pre-service date is the completion date of the driver's pre-service training reported on Form G. Next is the in-service date. This is the completion date of your annual in-service at your district, another district's attended in-service, or the state final in-service. The physical assessment date is the post-offer initial assessment, their 2-year or sooner recertification test, or the return to duty test date. On the State Board of Education website, under Pupil Transportation, there's a link for the best practice for bus driver physical assessment. The employee position column can help identify reasons that employees do not have a certification date in all areas. Next, the technician's in-service date. In State Standards Appendix, technicians must receive annual in-service training at the Technicians Conference or equivalent training. The next 3 columns are collision dates. The collision dates are here to help track your driver's collisions and identify if additional training at your district is needed. There is a comment section. What I see most is a basic statement that identifies why drivers do not have all the required certifications completed, and that the driver will not be used until the certifications are compliant. After column U, the sheet is unprotected, so that you may include additional items if desired. These additional items are not needed for the state report, but could be included if wanted. A couple of things you may add could be the driver annual review, the date of the driver's last ride-along, or any time that they participate in a behind-the-wheel skills course. Again, any of this added information is completely up to the district. Talking with districts, there are still many challenges in keeping certifications up to date. LEAs have to send in multiple reminders to drivers before their licenses and medical cards expire. I want to demonstrate a couple of tips in using this form. I want to start with a tip that will make this form a little bit easier to follow. As you can see right now, I can scroll down and I lose the titles of my columns. If we want those columns to stay in place, we're going to select row 11 and come up to the top to the View tab, and we're going to select the Freeze panes, and we want to freeze the top rows and columns and make those visible. As we scroll down, we now have the titles in place as we scroll down our list. We can take it away by just unfreezing those panes. Remember to submit the report using MoveIt. This is the State Board of Education's secure file transfer site. Let me know if you need any help with your MoveIt account. I'm going to quickly demonstrate a way to prepare letters for reminding drivers of upcoming expirations using the Mail Merge option on Microsoft Word. This may be a help to your LEA depending on your size and if you use any type of software. If this is a good option for you, you may need to watch other tutorials or training to better understand this process. The first step will be to open a new blank workbook. On the bottom, we're going to relabel our tabs so we can find them later. Our first tab, we're going to have our Cdl expiration dates. And our second tab will be the DOT physical expiration dates. Next, I'm going to select the drivers who have upcoming commercial driver's license expiration dates, and we'll copy the rows into the new workbook we created. I'm going to right-click and I'm going to paste as values. The formatting may change color. We need to identify the titles of our columns. Our first one is our Cdl expiration. Our next two are going to be our driver's name. I'm going to simplify the workbook by deleting the columns we're not using. This step is optional, but it will make things a little more simple with our next steps. Save your workbook. Next, we need to open Microsoft Word to create our letter. We want to select the Mailing tab on the top. We're going to use the Start Mail Merge, and we're going to use the Merge Wizard. On the right-hand side, it will walk you through the steps. We want to select Letter. You also have the option to create email messages. Step 2 is we're going to select the current letter we're going to write. Step 3, we're going to use an existing list. We're going to open the workbook we just created with our Cdl reminders. And we get to select which table or which tab on the workbook. As you can see, we have our last name, first name, and our Cdl expiration. Our next step is to start our letter. We have Dear, and we're going to select Insert Merge Field, and we're going to put our first name, space, Insert Merge Field, last name, comma. We're going to start our letter. As a reminder, your Cdl license will expire on, add our Cdl expiration date, period. Next, we're going to complete our letter body and sign our letter. We're going to select our next step on the right. To preview our letter, you'll notice that we now have Edwin Angela and her expiration date of her license. We're going to complete the merge. At this point, we can select to print or edit. I'm going to select edit so we can see what we've produced. Once we do that, we now have all the other drivers that we've selected from our list. At this point, I'm going to print the document as long as it's correct. This initial setup will take the most time. Future reminders, you will just need to update the workbook and complete the merge. The new reminders will be ready to pass out.